State Security Minister Ayanda Dlodlo has refuted claims that South Africa's intelligence has been caught napping. It comes after public backlash at the slow pace of action by authorities to quell looting in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. For more on this, we're joined by the State Security Agency Domestic Branch Head, Advocate Mahlodi Muofhe. Advocate Muofhe, good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time tonight. There are many South Africans this evening who, looking at the visuals of the destruction that has been left, who would feel let down by the work that you and the State Security Agency have done, or have, most importantly, seemingly not done in this moment.
Good evening, Kathy. South Africans must understand that in the security cluster we work as a collective. Segmenting us different from other law enforcement agencies would not take us any further. We work collectively and we are hard at work. South Africans should understand that, and they must understand that there is no ways in which we won't be victorious at the end of this unrest. It is unfortunate that South Africans themselves, and majority of South Africans, are law-abiding citizens. Those who are doing these things know themselves that they are basically wanting to bring our economy down to its knees, and that we won't allow. But we would want to urge South Africans that it is not the correct thing to basically destroy the infrastructure. It is so easy to destroy it. And to build it will cost a lot of money. And we are in a situation where we've got to create jobs, do so many other things. As we are busy destroying the infrastructure, some of our relatives, the aged, may be leaving this world because an ambulance cannot go through. We urge our people not to do these things. And we would want to applaud communities in other areas like in Mpumalanga, Northwest, where they say this is not going to happen in their provinces. And I hope that together with all South Africans working with us, we are all one. And we need this country, all of us. We need to preserve this country for ourselves, children and grandchildren, that we can spend so much time in the midst of this war against the coronavirus. It's really uncalled for. It's important for us to appreciate the fact that we've got this war that we are fighting. We need to be ramping up issues of vaccinations. People are passing away as we speak now because of this immediate thing where looters. And we should not try and say that this is due to poverty. Our government has a department, and we all know, social development. It is national, provincial, and at local level. This department assists many indigent people. So we're doing just about everything that can be done to ensure that we know that we must do a lot of work to try and lift everybody out of poverty. But South Africans are not thieves. People who are using South Africans, they themselves are living comfortably in their own houses, making these clips, videos, and influencing people to do wrong things. South Africans, in their majority now, are all concerned that this should come to a stop. And I think if all of us were to say, this must come to a stop now, like people in Northwest, Mpumalanga, and in Limpopo and everywhere else, I am sure that this thing can be brought to a halt tomorrow.
Advocate Muofhe, you are speaking after the fact, and I don't want to get into the debate about part of what is driving the looting in as far as poverty is concerned, because that's a whole other conversation that speaks to governance failure. So the fact that we've got SASSA officers in different parts of the country does not speak to the great inequality that this country faces. That's why issues such as the basic income grant have been an ongoing debate even within the structures of NEDLAC. But I don't want us to go down that road. I want us to confine our conversation to matters of state security and why it is today we are seeing the kind of scenes that have erupted in this country, where we have a Department of State Security, you head up the domestic branch, and you are telling us that you are on top of things, and yet the picture that we see says something completely different.
South Africa is a dry land. You only need one stick to light it. And we are unfortunately in a situation where a stick was lit on an unrelated matter, and now that stick is on, and we are all basically working very hard to try and douse off the flames. And that's what we are doing. My officials, together with others in the cluster, are on the ground as we speak now. So it cannot be said that it is an after effect. Unfortunately, what started as a support for our former president has now grown up to, has taken different proportions now. And all of us must be together in this setup. Officials are working, and with their boots are on the ground as we speak now. And it is impossible for all of us to be everywhere at every given time. But I can assure you, Kathy, that in the end, we are going to be victorious.
The fact that we have not been able to, one, predict where the violence was going to go next, in as far as the looting of the shopping centers, the fact that we have not been able to prevent it, even from an intelligence point of view, speaks to a system that is broken down, Advocate Muofhe. So the evidence before us suggests a broken down system. Tonight, you can help to tell us why we must believe that the fabric of that system is still intact.
Perhaps I've spoken above your head. When I say South Africa is a dry land area, once you light, you use a stick, it will basically light in all different directions, and we are dozing it off from different directions. And as it happens, we are dozing off in one area and it flares up in another, but finally we will get to that point. Remember, it started off in support of our former president. That's where it started. But unfortunately, it has taken different dimensions now. And we basically anticipated that it might go this way or that way. And we have been working from day one. From day one. We've been working. And that is why, that is why, Kathy, from when it started, there was no loss of life. It is because we were working cooperatively in the cluster. Unfortunately.
So then, did you predict that we would be where we are today? As the State Security Agency, did you foresee this moment?
We foresaw this moment, and we prepared for this moment. But as I say, it goes in different directions, and we are working to quell it in whichever directions this matter is going now.
How did you prepare for it?
Basically by making sure that we are on the ground and we plan accordingly, and at the same time appreciate the fact that we need to preserve loss of life. If we were not planning, Kathy, from the time when that support started, I'm sure we would have been talking of many lives now which could have been lost. And it's important for us to appreciate the fact that there's nothing as more precious than life itself. And as we do these things, we urge South Africans to stop doing this thing because we have to preserve life. I don't think we want to get to a situation where we say we've got to be hard on everybody else in such a way that we then start counting body bags. I don't think that's what we really want.
But Advocate Muofhe, so we're moving from one end of the question of what did the agency do to prepare to you telling us about how you have prevented the loss of life, but you're not giving us the details. So what did you do to prevent the loss of life? What are these operations that, including the minister, she alluded to it earlier on in the day that things could have been much worse, but what was so much worse that has been averted and prevented by the state security forces of this country?
I think, Kathy, you'll appreciate that these operational matters are not matters which one can freely discuss now, because in any event, if we were to discuss them, they may actually delay the abatement of these problems that we're having now.
How much further are you expecting this looting to continue for?
We want to stop this looting as soon as possible. And that is why you find a situation that all of us, including the army, we are on the ground. We request South Africans themselves. These are South Africans who are looting. These are our parents, and they're doing it with our children and their children. We ourselves, as South Africans, we must start talking to our neighbors. We must be like people in Mpumalanga and in Mafikeng, where they're in Northwest, where they're saying no to looting because destroying this infrastructure is not going to create jobs. So we urge South Africans themselves. There's no point in going to break a Maponya mall in the township, knowing that tomorrow people won't be working.
On some level, Advocate Muofhe, I understand the call made for ordinary South Africans to step up and also prevent this activity from taking place. And it's a call that I think many South Africans who want peace will support. In the same breath, however, there is a lot of trust that is invested in individuals such as yourself, leading the state security agency to be able to determine the risk and the threat that communities are going to come under, and to be able to live up to the expectation of protecting those communities. And so far, we have not seen that. So where there have been people who are opportunistic, they've been allowed to steal without anybody getting in their way.
Kathy, these are our own South African people who are stealing. We ourselves, as South Africans, we must stop ourselves from stealing. We cannot be saying that as South Africans, we give ourselves a right to go and steal and then hope that somebody else must come and stop. I think we should be responsible enough. It's not as if we are dealing with people from outside South Africa who are coming to steal and destroy our infrastructure. We are doing it ourselves. We ourselves, we must be responsible enough and stop what is happening now.
Advocate Muofhe, will state security be able to stop this violence? Will you be able to infiltrate? Will you be able to infiltrate those that are organizing it? Because it's very clear from part of what we are seeing that this is not sporadic, it is organized. Are you going to be able to bring it to an end?
I can tell you, Kathy, now that we are aware of who is doing what where, and I'm sure together with our sister departments in the security cluster, soon we'll bring this thing to a halt.
Who do you believe is behind the violence?
And that I cannot discuss, Kathy. This is an operational matter, unless if you don't want this thing to be abated. Because even those who are doing it, they are watching this program now.
Advocate Mahlodi Muofhe, let me thank you so much for your time on News at Prime. All right, there we have it then, the response and the position of the country's state security agency, at least the domestic branch of that arm.